You know, had I given this a little bit more thought, I probably would have recorded this video on or prior to December the 31st so that I could get it up just before the clock strikes midnight on New Year's and you folks can have it there kind of as a warm-up for 2025. But I didn't. And one of the things that I'm trying to do right at the moment is cut down on the overthinking about getting these videos done and just do 2 videos a week. So here is me offering a brief retrospective on the year that was and what I am hoping the year that is, because it's 2025 as I record this now, will be for me and maybe for those close to me and even those whom I am yet to meet. Hello and welcome, I am Rob Farker, a 40-something lover of sleek futures and cool machines who's taking his personality and perspective to YouTube to talk about life, the universe and everything, and maybe how we can all do it with a little bit more intent. I would just like to ask this at the top of the video. Please like if you enjoy what you are watching, subscribe to the channel, and also pen a polite, enthusiastic, and constructive comment down the bottom in the comments section. Your interest will let YouTube know that this channel is worth promoting, and it can help me improve my content. So yes, as I said, it is now 2025. As I record this, it is, what is the time? Pardon me while I squint, I didn't put my glasses on. Looks like 8:15 Eastern Daylight Time in Australia. And I was struck by the urge, given that I am on this 6-month mission and I am aiming to do 2 new episodes for YouTube per week, that even though I like to record and then give people on my newsletter early access, and they will still get something, as I do have a video in the can that can wait a little bit until I make it live on Tuesday morning to come, so that folks can get my newsletter on Sunday night and view the video, that I wanted to do something now, and it seemed to make sense to talk a little bit about the year that has gone and the year that is to come. And not so much what I want out of it, but what I want to do in it. This comes from a particular review process that a lady by the name of Mel Robbins suggested. You might have come across Mel if you are on the YouTubes, although everyone does have their own specific customized YouTube experience thanks to the algorithm. But if you do a search for her, she is big, not so much on positivity. She is a great plain speaker. She's kind of a call it like she sees it, but she does try and temper her seeing things with life and other people's perspectives and a little bit of research rather than just shooting from the hip. And it's one thing that I'm particularly glad of her channel for. But yes, she has an annual review process that basically revolves around 7 questions. And if you'll excuse me, I'm going to stick my glasses on. I will put a link to the video down below, but in the meantime, where are we? I just need to turn the pages in my big review book here. What were the highlights this year? What were the hardest parts of the year for me? What did I learn about myself over the last 12 months? What will I stop doing in the coming year? What will I start doing in the coming year? What will I continue doing in the coming year? And what can I do today to try to take the first steps in these directions that I've just identified? Now, I'm not going to go into thorough detail on these 7 questions, but if you are thinking of doing a little bit of New Year's resolutioning and you've not done so already, or maybe even you have and you're thinking, I want to do a little bit more to maybe make things stick a little bit better, you could probably do a lot worse than going through these questions. So thank you very much for the process, Mel. Folks, go watch the video. I do highly recommend it. So yeah, I did make a big list of highlights in, handwriting. Here we go. Don't know how legible it is. I can read it semi-okay, but I did go through, and funnily enough, I did do a quick few notes on a community that I am part of a little earlier on today, and I thought they would be a good place to start. I did flesh them out a little bit, and I might expand those. So yeah, some of the highlights were, the big one was moving from the Blue Mountains to the southwest of Sydney just 7 months after I moved from the F&Q, as some folks like to call it, far north Queensland, back here to Sydney. It was one heck of an undertaking. I was hoping I wouldn't have to do another move for a couple of years, and thankfully I did get a notice from my real estate agent about this place that I am at. Did I say real estate agent? I think I meant real estate agent, but anyway, that it looks like the landlord is going to offer me another 12 months lease. The rent is going up, but nothing that I am glad to say that I can't soak at the moment. But yeah, it'll give me a little bit more stability while I work out what's next for me in 2025. Another highlight was making a trip to Adelaide for a couple of days to spend New Year's Eve and New Year's Day down there. A lovely friend of mine, we were looking at doing some planning, and she suggested, or was it me? One of us suggested, why not do it in person? And we thought it was a good idea, and it was great fun. And I think it's the first, I don't know, I've made a few plane trips that have had other motives, like flying down to Sydney to visit my dad for his birthday, making the odd work-related trip, coming down here to investigate moving down. But it felt like the trip to Adelaide was the first one that was just purely for, I don't know, not for some sort of ulterior motive. Even if the ulterior motive was my own, it was just purely, let's go meet someone, hang out, do some planning, and have a good time. So it really felt like the first time, a little while at least, I got on a plane because I genuinely wanted to. Catching Mark Manson, the author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, at the Opera House in November. Great guy, fun speaker, again one of these down-to-earth types who is about self-improvement but doesn't couch it in rah-rah or woo, and is not afraid to, again, call it like he sees it. I think it's a thing of his where he kind of pushes back on that phrase, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade, where it's like, sometimes when life gives you lemons, you just have to get used to the taste of lemons. Things will suck, things will hurt, and it's our ability to be in that moment and accept that discomfort that is really going to serve us, rather than trying to frantically turn everything into a positive and try and feel good about everything. I was damn glad to see him. Some more highlights were multiple trips to what has come to be my happy place, which is Circular Quay. I really love that. And the Rocks. I don't know. I didn't spend too much time there when I was a youngster, but now being back, as much as I love the Sydney CBD, there is just something about that area that always gets me. The conventions that I got to attend this year. I got to attend a board game convention not far away from where I live. A mate of mine took me to a tabletop miniatures convention that they wanted to go to, and then a pop culture convention. Although it was the second time for me going to Oz Comic Con, because the first time was September last year, I actually got to take a new friend of mine along. They were a big-time geek, but they had never been to a pop culture convention before. So it was great fun being there for them and watching as they got to experience that wonderful, being in their place surrounded by fellow geeks and spending $300-400, I believe, on a couple of replica swords from various properties, and getting to ask a question of and getting a signature from an international star of pop culture. A couple of things happened birthday related for me, my combined birthday and housewarming party here in this place. Getting a couple of new friends of mine to meet a lot of my old friends. It was absolutely wonderful. And also getting spoiled by the local hairdresser. There's a photo up on Facebook of the slice of chocolate cake with a candle in it that they gave me when I got my hair cut just for my birthday, just before my birthday, I should say. Getting to discover and join some communities of fun folks around the city. A social group, the fortnightly board gaming crew, and apologies folks, I've only been to you folks once since going to that board gaming convention, and sharing good times out and in with friends new and old. I'm not going specifically into the hardest parts of 2024, although the reason for that big move from the Blue Mountains to here was a hard moment, and there have been some times relating to my dog Suki that have been a bit tough to deal with, relating to growths on her that have had to have been cut off. Looking down the barrel of my 12-year-old dog's eventual mortality has never been comfortable. But yeah, that's been a bit of a struggle. So I'm going to kind of go into the things that I've learned this year, which are mostly about myself. I've learned... I am still learning. A lot of this is stuff that I'm still learning. It's easy to pat myself on the head and say I've learned, and it feels like, no, I am still learning this stuff. There are times that I'm going to forget, or where life is going to pressure me. I'm going to, I hate to say cave, but cave under the pressure of not acting as well as I could in a tough situation. So I'm learning how to practice patience, especially in the face of catastrophizing. Again, the move down from the Blue Mountains and Suki's health issues, and perhaps even worrying about what was going to happen in this place, and things turning out a lot better than the demon inside my head told me they were going to. And also finding that trust in that I can handle these things. That sometimes the biggest fight is with myself when I'm stepping towards something new. I started a weekly jiu-jitsu class at a local school, and the hardest time I found going was after I actually bought my new gi, and actually went after to the first lesson after I bought it and taking it with me, and I felt like, I don't know, I was even more of I didn't deserve to be wearing the uniform. I was going to look like a fool, even though my experience at the place every time beforehand had not borne any of that out. They've been very gracious, very encouraging, and had suggested getting a gi. So yeah, but still the brain can still be my greatest bully. But even though I was feeling like that, like I should just stay home and give it all up, and maybe jiu-jitsu wasn't the hell yes that I thought it should be, I just kept putting one foot in front of the other and went and did the next class, and it all worked out okay. I can take big steps to change my life when needed, though the emotional toll they can come with does need care and time to process. Again, that big move down, and also perhaps even starting this YouTube channel, and also accepting that it is okay to just take some time and not do any other big things. Maybe put some stuff on the back burner, especially when you're not sure what it looks like the podcast. I'm still learning the trick with, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no, especially when the blush of the new can feel a lot like a hell yes. It's odd because jiu-jitsu doesn't feel like a hell yes a lot of the time. But it is a good and worthwhile thing. And another thing that I struggle with is shoulding myself into doing things. Is jiu-jitsu a should? I'm maybe not sure, but it still just feels like it's only a couple of hours a week on a Wednesday night. And it doesn't really cost me all that much aside from the membership. I can soak it. It comes out of my fun money, and I've got plenty of that left. I'm learning what establishing and maintaining healthy boundaries feels like from the inside. I've often said that boundaries are great things to set until you smack into them from the inside, because something that looks like great and wonderful and nice and happy lies on the other side of the boundary, and it's just staying within it is going to turn what is probably a high into something, either something that I need to just step away from, or something that, when given patience and grace, is going to turn into something that will be genuinely worthwhile and healthy and meaningful and good. It's okay to accept help when freely and genuinely offered, especially when I have no idea how I'm going to pay it back. The move down from the Blue Mountains to Sydney was done with the help of my dad, and also with a new friend of mine at the time, whom I sadly pretty much have virtually no contact with anymore, which does actually lead me to another point which I kind of just skipped, but I will get to it, so I'll just move that in the order. But I have had a lot of times like that where people have offered to help me, and I thought I should be, how can I give them back in return. And usually they're not expecting anything in return. They just want to help out. And whether it's a thing that in my head that goes, there must be some ulterior motive, or that just feels like this is a good thing that someone is doing for me, I should be doing something good for them. And just accepting that, the fear that me just taking this thing that they are doing for me is taking advantage of them somehow. And I think there is that balance that needs to be set between, feeling like I deserve all this help because I should receive it because, hey, I'm a great guy, It's all good things should just flow to me and people should work their asses off to give me good things. Finding the balance between that, like graciously accepting and also accepting the idea that what I may not be able to pay something back, but them doing this thing for me could well leave me in a better place to pay forward to someone else, to have a fuller cup that I can then pour from, even if it's not back to the friends who helped me. And that point I wanted to make about that friend whom I'm sadly in not much contact with. My thoughtlessness can break a heart, and that my heart can be broken in return. That situation was not a great one. I had a fair bit to learn from that. And things that I hope I am still learning, and perhaps how, again, practicing patience and taking my time when developing new connections. I am still learning how to be myself without apologizing. Sometimes when I tell people I love sleek futures and cool machines, I do preface it with saying it's a bit geeky. And part of me goes, just stop that. Live not so much bravely, but just in that confidence that you're cool. And if people can't handle who you are, who I am, as I am, then all I'm doing is making it easier for the both of us to realize that and move on to the next connection. And I still struggle with overthinking and catastrophizing, but I am working on it. And with all the other things that I've been doing, I've been pushing beyond it on a more regular basis. And I think this video is kind of a pushback against that. My God, this thing is 17 minutes already. How did I get to 17 minutes? It feels like it's barely been 5. So apologies, I've been trying to get these things shorter, but this is going to be another long one. Things I want to stop doing over the coming year. Doubting my ability to learn. Chasing hard to reach people, I think is a big one. And just feeling less of that need to connect with them and wonder what is going on with them. Their lives are out of my control and often outside my visibility. And there's a snarky phrase that goes around that if they wanted to, they would. I think it's more like if they wanted to, or everything does everything they can within their power. And sometimes what life deals with them, dealing with that and maintaining a connection with me is just outside their power, and maybe the same could well be said for me, for people whom I am not following up with, perhaps, who might like broader, deeper connections with me. Choosing less than a hell yes and shooting myself. I've talked about that. Chasing new connections and riding the high of a new. This is an interesting one. What will I start doing in the coming year, and what will I continue doing in the coming year? I wound up writing down a bunch of things that I want to start doing and realised that I'd been kind of doing them already a little bit this year, and just I'm trying not to use the word need, but all that rather than feeling like a start, just recognising, yes, I've already been doing these things, and all I'm doing is just doing them more often. Unsubscribing from unneeded communications, cutting down on what comes in on my email inbox, recommendations from YouTube, things that pop up in my various social media feeds, and maybe even letting social media go a little bit more, which I think I have been doing. Scheduling items in for each week, making sure that if I say I want to do something, I've got it plugged into my calendar. Taking the time to work out where my genuine curiosity lies. Choosing to spend time on the things that I genuinely engage with. Yeah, I keep thinking this is a lot of stuff that I've been doing. Educating myself on the basics when it comes to finance. This is definitely something that I've kind of explicitly avoided before. I have a financial advisor who does offer online courses on financial literacy. And for the last couple of years since I signed up with them, I've been going, you know what, there's enough stuff going on in my life. I'm not too worried about getting myself up to speed. And there's this bit of me that has, as I've been watching people's videos about living a life that you can flow within and are in reasonable control of, that financial freedom and financial literacy are big parts of that. So there's this bit of me going, okay, it's feeling like time for me that if I want to study anything this year, then that is the main thing I want to study. A few other things. What will I continue going into my geeky sleep futures and cool machines loving self? Reach out to friends and loves to intentionally maintain and deepen our connections. Develop my skill in process creation and review. The next episode coming up is going to be a bit more about that. Educate myself on the basics of health. Been doing that some, but could use to do that a little bit more, I think. Pivot away from things that don't fully fit with me, e.g. the Equal First podcast. Seemed like a good idea at the time, but felt like I just needed, if I was going to do a podcast, a tighter concept that came more from that sleep futures and cool machines love that I have. And take the pressure off myself. Part of that whole catastrophizing less, realizing that I'm doing a lot more in the quiet times than in the hardcore active times. So that is really what I am looking forward to be doing in 2025. And, I would like to hear from you folks. Let me look at the camera when I say that. I'd like to hear from you folks about how you felt your 2024 went. What were some of your highlights? What were the things that you learned about who you are? And then what you are going to be doing less of and more of in the new year. So I would love to, again, read your comments down below. I feel like I ought to be promoting another episode. I'm not sure quite where I should be pointing, but I'm not sure exactly which episode to promote. I will say again, go check out Mel Robbins if you can. And until the next episode goes live, have a good time in the meantime. And let me get my mouse pointer lined up over the stop button and hope that me lifting my hand off the mouse doesn't knock it away. This is Rob Farker, signing off.